The New England Patriots are in year two of their rebuild post Bill Belichick, but they look to be in a much better situation than they were in at this point last year. Last offseason, they didn't have a quarterback, they didn't know what they had in a head coach, and they had a lot of holes really at every position on the roster. This season, however, I think you have much more clarity. Drakemaye looked fantastic as a rookie, and I would argue was probably the best rookie quarterback given the sample size. He was out of this world. On top of that, you just hired Mike Vrabel. Gerard Mayo was a one and done. Think they did him a little dirty. However, I think it was the right move ultimately. And you get Mike Vrabel, who I would argue is easily a top 10 head coach in this league. You bring him back to New England. Now you've got an identity and you've got a quarterback. Now, how can you build a roster that can compete for the playoffs next year? Because I think this team can compete for the playoffs next year. We've seen Mike Vrabel get it done with some really bad rosters in the past. What moves can he make around the edges to try and fix this team? That's what I'm going to be attempting to do today, as we are going to do a New England Patriots 7-round mock draft. We're going to do trades if we see good offers come our way, but we are just going to get Drakemaye some help, and we are going to improve this team as much as we can. Before we get into it, a couple of housekeeping things here. Check out my Patreon page. I will leave that linked down below. A lot of people ask what my big board looks like, how I rank some of these prospects. If you guys want my full big board, be sure to go check that out. It's $5 a month. It is one of the best tools that I can sell you guys. All the advanced analytics and information, scouting reports that you guys need to get familiar with some of these prospects. And be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Doing one of these for all 32 NFL teams. New England's got the number 4 pick. So let's kick this off for a Patriots mock draft. All right, so we're on the clock here at number 4, and we're trying to not take the same players. First 3 picks or how the other 3 mock drafts prior to this have gone, just to clear up some confusion for you guys. The Patriots are on the clock at 3, and I think there are really only 2 options here on where you go with this pick. If Travis Hunter is on the board, I find it really hard to pass on this type of a talent. He is a generational type of prospect, and I know we throw that term around very loosely, but he is absolutely phenomenal. 6'1", 185 pounds, maybe a little bit on the smaller side in terms of his frame, but he has legitimate ball tracking abilities at both positions. Yes, he is a starting corner and a starting receiver at the next level. Do I think he is going to be able to handle the workload of playing at both positions? Maybe not. He might not be that type of a player, but he can be a lockdown corner, and that is a position that this team is going to need to look to address. Jonathan Jones is a free agent this year. Marcus Jones is a free agent next year. You need a number 2 corner opposite of Gonzo, and you need a number 1 receiver. I think really the Patriots are in a perfect situation here to take Travis Hunter. He kills 2 birds with 1 stone, and you can kind of build a roster that way. The other area that I think you could look to go is offensive line. I think Kelvin Banks would probably be the number 1 tackle on a lot of teams' boards, and I think he would make a lot of sense here. Really athletic. You could play him inside. You could play him at tackle. He was really good in that Ohio State game, allowed 0 pressures. He's a good tackle, but I'm not passing up on the talent that Travis Hunter is. I think he is one of the best prospects I have ever gotten to see on both sides of the football. He's got ball skills. He can run routes as a receiver, but his ability to mirror routes as a corner, track the ball in the air, he is a special type of athlete and a type of player that I think is going to be a really dynamic NFL weapon. So I'm going to take him here at number 4 for the Patriots. On the clock here at number 38, and I think this board fell pretty perfectly if you are a Patriots fan. I want to address the offensive line pretty early in this draft class, and I think you've got some good tackles. You got some good interior guys. Cameron Williams, he won't be on the board here at number 38. I think he is a first-round guy at this point to most people, despite having a pretty inconsistent Cotton Bowl. So I'm not going to take him. I don't really love any of the tackles here on the board. Same thing with edge. Mike Green, don't think will be here. Jack Sawyer, I'm not going to take him here in this mock. I don't think he really fits. I've got a player in mind in the 3rd round. A player I am looking at, though, is on the interior tab. I think he's got versatility to play on both sides, and that is going to be Arizona's Jonah Savaiinaya. Really impressive athlete. I thought this guy was an incredible mover in space. He was a great run blocker, showed a mean streak in that area. He has played both guard and tackle. He was a right tackle this past season for Arizona, and he held his own. I thought he was a pretty good player. He's got good upper body strength, fantastic hands. You'd like to see his footwork improve a little bit. Got beat to the inside shoulder. Might be a guard at the next level. Has to work on the pad height as well. But a really impressive athlete that could be a plug-and-play player really in all 5 positions of your offensive line. Do you want him to play guard? Do you want him to play tackle? Those are kind of the questions that you're going to have to ask. And I think he could play both. I know a lot of people are just going to put him at guard. You could play him at left guard. You could play him really anywhere. He is a type of player, though, I wouldn't mind keeping him at right tackle, to be completely honest with you. I think he can play right tackle at the NFL level because he's got the foot speed. I thought he was light on his feet, moves really well, and showed some really good promise in pass protection. He is a type of player that is a plug-and-play guy at all 5 positions, and I think that's exactly what New England needs. So I'm going to take him here at number 38. Back on the clock here at number 69, and this board is falling exactly the way that I envisioned for the Patriots. Some really good talent here on the edge, and they've got to look to address this defensive line. Josh Uche, they traded at the deadline. They also moved Matthew Judon. This team really could not create pressure this season. Christian Barmore, unfortunately, missed time due to his blood clot situation, I believe. You are in desperate need of a pass rusher. And I think there's a couple of really good names here that I would 100% consider taking. David Walker from Central Arkansas is one of my favorite prospects in this draft class. He's my number 10 edge rusher. Ridiculous athlete off the edge. He's got power. He's got a bull rush, excellent bend, really active hands for the position. He's coming from an FCS school, though. He's not going to be as high on a lot of people's boards. He's not an amazing run defender and can play a little off-balanced at times. The other prospect that I think fits so perfectly with this Patriots team is Josiah Stewart from the University of Michigan, another just really impressive athlete. I thought he did a really good job of showing crackdown speed in the run game, had good bend, great power. He hit really hard. He was a really solid run defender. I think the upside there is a little bit better. He does need to develop more pass rush moves. Another guy that struggles with balance. I really don't think you can go wrong with either of these prospects. I think Stewart naturally, because of the better run defense, really either of these guys I think could be difference makers off the edge for this Patriots team. It really depends on what you are looking for. I think Stewart can be a little bit of a more versatile edge rusher piece, but I think David Walker gives you a little bit more juice off the edge. I love both of these prospects. I'm going to go with the guy I'm a little bit higher on. In my initial notes, I went with Josiah Stewart, but seeing the love that David Walker is getting, I do think he is going to be a top 100 pick. I'm going to take that even a step further. I think he'll be a top 75 pick. Senior Bowl invite guy, excellent athleticism. This is a type of prospect I want on my team. A hard worker, comes from an FCS school, kind of feels like a pick the Patriots would make as well. I'm going to take David Walker at number 69. Our second of 2 third-round picks, this one coming from the Matthew Judon trade. I want to go get a true wide receiver on this team. Yes, Travis Hunter can play both. This team still needs a wide receiver, and they're still probably going to address corner later in this draft as well. So what type of player are we looking for? This has got to be the most disappointing wide receiver room in football, to be completely honest with you. Kendrick Bourne, fine. I was very disappointed by Jalen Polk this year. One of my favorite guys. The dude just caught everything at Washington. He couldn't catch anything this past year. Where do you want to go if you are a Patriots fan? And I think there's a few names that really stick out here. Matthew Golden would be the pick here. He is skyrocketing up my board. I just don't think the value, he will be on the board here at number 77. So now we're looking at some of these other guys that I have in the third round range. Torrey Horton from Colorado State is one of those guys that I have in this range. Coming off a season-ending injury, really sucks, but he's got really good size, 6'2", 190. He's got speed in the open field. He could make plays happen after the catch. Really good footwork along the sidelines. Didn't have a lot of drops. You'll love to see that. I think he could play in the slot and on the boundary. Yes, he's coming from Colorado State. He didn't seem to run the most diverse route tree in the world, but I really like what he offers. Was a prospect that I thought could have gone pretty high in this draft had he not gotten hurt. Caden Prather, we took to the Giants in our last mock, so I'm trying to diversify this. Tez Johnson is the other one. Tez Johnson, to me, would be a really interesting piece here for this Patriots team. Absolutely incredible speed, probably going to be the fastest wide receiver at this year's combine. He's probably a 4-3 guy. He's 160 pounds, though. He's 5'10, 161 pounds. One of the smallest frames I've ever seen for a wide receiver. Is that the type of guy the Patriots are going to look for? Especially, I like Pop Douglas as that slot guy. I just don't really see it. Savion Williams, I feel like, is a player that is a bit of a project that New England would stay away from, especially with his drop concerns. So if we're going to go reliable hands, a guy that could play on the outside for you, I think I'm going to go Torrey Horton. I love what he has been for Colorado State. One of their best receivers in program history. Excellent speed, good hands. He's going to be my pick here at number 77. Back on the clock here at number 104, there is a lot of positions that I would love to take here. Just don't really love the value. I was thinking of going with a defensive tackle. Didn't really love the way the board fell. I like Ty Hamilton quite a bit. I think we can go get a player down the board that might end up falling a little bit further than this. I also thought about going with a corner. I think you draft Travis Hunter, you get a second receiver. Yes, I am probably going to take a corner later. I think we could wait on that position as well. I don't really think we can wait on tackle much more than what we already have. We're sitting here at 104. Yes, we went with Jonah Savainaya earlier in this class. We've got to go get a true tackle. And to me, Anthony Belton out of NC State, this is kind of the range I could see him going. I know a lot of people really, really like him, and I do too. Was a player that I got the privilege of interviewing this offseason. A left tackle for NC State the last couple of seasons. Really, really impressive athlete. Another guy that I think could play both inside and out. He's got really good length for the position. I think he could be a bit of a developmental player in terms of a run blocker, but he's really, really good as a pass protector. Good hand placement, has really strong footwork for the position, good athlete to move into the second level. You've got to hope that he can connect on some of these blocks at the second level a little bit more consistently. I've got a 4th round grade on him. He does need to get better at getting beat to his inside shoulder. Was an issue with him time and time again, but he's a guy that I think can develop into a starting tackle in this league. You've got to get as many offensive line pieces as possible. I think Anthony Belton is a guy that can be a starting tackle in this league. So I'm going to take him here at 104. This is around the range I think he's going to go on draft day, and I love the value here for the Patriots. All right, we're back on the clock at number 143, and I definitely think that we need to address the inside of this defensive line. Was not a strength for this team last year, especially with Christian Barmore's health scares. Hopefully he's okay next year, but I think you're looking for a guy that can be more of that interior run stuffing type of presence. And I think that's what you have in a guy on the board here in Georgia's Nazir Stackhouse. He's a player I think has fallen under the radar. He's a pretty solid athlete for his size. I think he's got a really high upside. He's a great run defender. He's got violent hands, and I think he is a really solid player. I think a lot of people are going to be concerned that he might not be the most powerful player in the world. He did over pursue at times on run angles. He's not really much of a pass rusher. But I think as a nose tackle type of prospect, a guy that can be a run stopper in this defense, he makes a lot of sense. I don't really think you can go wrong with Georgia defensive linemen at the next level. I think Nazir Stackhouse is a really good player that should be getting more draft buzz. I really do think so. And I think he's a player that could be an impact guy at the next level. So I'm going to take him here at number 143. Here at number 217, we're just looking for guys that I think could develop to be starting players at the next level. There's a lot. This board, I think, undervalues a lot of players here. So, I just don't think Damani Jackson, Will Lee, they're going back to school. I don't think there's any chance Tommy Hill will be here. Jason Marshall probably won't be here. Bilal Kone, I don't think will be here. Noah Williams, 100% will not be on the board. Same thing with O'Donnell Fortune. So it's really hard to kind of figure out who I think could be here. But a player I really like that I think has got a real shot is Louisiana Monroe cornerback Carlin Vigors. Now, they've got him here at number 375. He is a my guy in this class. Yes, I have a 6th round grade on him, but he's 6'2", 200 pounds, got long arms for the position, really solid, compact build for a starting corner. I thought he was a really solid press man corner. He had good punch, had good change of direction, fluid hips, and he could play in zone coverage as well. Had good eyes, plays with really good physicality for the cornerback position, which you guys know I love physical corners. not really the most productive corner in the world, has not really produced many interceptions or pass deflections. He isn't the most fast or quick player in the world. Is a little bit heavy on his feet, has been an inconsistent tackler, but I love what he brings in press coverage. I think he's got good hip fluidity, and he could develop into a starting caliber corner. I think he's an underrated prospect in this class. On the board here at 217, I think there's a good shot to take a shot on a guy that could potentially be a starting corner for you at the next level. Here at number 220, I think safety is another position that's quietly a big need. Jabril Peppers went through some of his off the field stuff. I also think that you got Jalen Hawkins. He's a free agent. I think adding another safety into this room is really important, especially with the type of defense that this team already plays. A player I'm looking at, and again, he's going to be lower valued on this board, but this is around the range I've got him. He's my number 15 safety in this draft class, and that's going to be Clemson's RJ Mickens. Really, really good coverage safety. That's what it comes down to. I thought he was one of the best coverage safeties in this draft class. Super sticky in man-to-man coverage, had sideline to sideline quickness and speed. He is a hard hitter who really had versatility to play everywhere. There are times where I felt like he really struggled to get off blocks. He is a bit of an older prospect, maybe not the most productive, but for him to be valued here at 420 is ridiculous to me. I think this is a guy that has upside to start at the next level because he's a really good athlete. He's a very high IQ, really good instincts type of player. And I think that's what this team needs. He hits hard. He's going to be a guy that's going to play that single high role for you, going to be that patroller in the back. And I think he's got the ball skills too that can really back it up. So yes, he's way down here on the board, but another guy that's just way undervalued on this simulator. And I think he's going to be a draft pick in the 6th to 7th round. Our final pick here of the mock draft. This was a really hard pick to kind of pick between. I would love to go running back. Just didn't love the value of any of the guys left on the board for me. Quarterback, same thing. I would have liked to go get a developmental backup behind Drakemaye. Didn't really feel like that was on the board for me either. So I'm kind of looking at linebacker. It's a sneaky need for this team. Christian Ellis is a restricted free agent this year, but next year, both Sion Takitaki and Jawan Bentley will be free agents. So this is a team that desperately could look to go improve the cornerback or the linebacking room. And there's a player that I really like in this class that could fit really nicely. Another guy undervalued on a lot of these boards, and that is going to be South Carolina State linebacker Aaron Smith. Now, Aaron Smith is a guy that I think is going to be a riser throughout the process. He's got a Shrine Bowl invite. One of the better coverage linebackers in this draft class. Really good change of direction, hip fluidity. He's got burst and quickness to crash downhill. Really solid instincts in zone coverage. Yes, he's coming from an FCS school. Maybe not as great of a run defender or tackler as I'd like to see, but he makes up for it by showing some really impressive coverage skills. And I think that's a really solid move for him. They've got to improve the coverage aspect of their linebacking room long term. And I think Aaron Smith can be a good coverage linebacker at the next level. Again, in the 200s, you're just looking for guys. You're taking shots in the dark on athleticism, on guys that can develop to be starters. I think Aaron Smith can be that. So he's going to be my pick and final pick of this mock draft. All right, so there we have it for our 7-round New England Patriots mock draft. Get arguably the best player in the draft, add some help in the trenches, get a number 1 receiver, an edge rusher with a ton of juice and upside in David Walker, improve the interior of the defensive line, get some really nice depth pieces on the defense, and guys I think could develop into real starters for this team. But Patriots fans, I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you guys like the mock draft? Do you not? Let me know which picks you guys agreed with, which ones you disagreed with. Leave a like. Stay tuned, Jacksonville fans. You guys are next, coming up this Thursday, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.